Yes, Cannonberg was the voice of the Iowa student section on Saturday, and yes, Vandenberg and the Hawkeyes did. Northern Iowa would open the scoring with David Johnson rushing for a Panther touchdown. The Hawkeyes would answer, though, with running back Damon Bullock slicing and dicing his way downfield. Fullback Mark Wiseman would finish the drive with a 1-yard rushing touchdown. In the second quarter, here Wiseman is rushing for another 1-yard touchdown, just bulldozing his way in again and putting the Hawkeyes up 14-10. From then on out, the Hawkeyes really controlled the game. You could tell Vandenberg and his receivers were finally on the same page. The passes were right on the numbers this time, and the receivers held on to the ball. Vandenberg would finish the game with 228 passing yards.
I think we had a lot of guys do a lot of good things today and make some difficult plays, made some routine plays, but overall as an offense, I thought we did pretty well today.
Iowa's running game wasn't too shabby either. Fullback Mark Wiseman accounted for most of the team's rushing yards after both Iowa's running backs, Damon Bullock and Greg Garman, left the game injured. Here Wiseman is yet again in the third quarter, taking it to the house for another touchdown, making the game 24-13 in favor of Iowa.
He's got too much muscle on his body to even know what anything to do with, and he's fast when you get him in the open field.
Wiseman, man, that guy, he's a tank. That's what he is. So
he does a great job of lowering his pads, and when you get him with a head of steam, he's a physical guy and just extremely dependable.
Wiseman would finish the game with 24 carries, 113 yards, and 3 touchdowns, helping the Hawkeyes to a 27-16 victory over Northern Iowa. Well, the Hawkeyes took care of business against Northern Iowa. Their competition will get tougher, though, with Big Ten play coming up in a couple weeks. Let's kick it to Josh Bolander for a more in-depth look at the game.
Grant started out with a stomach ache, and we went to the local doctor, and they determined that it was appendicitis, and they took his appendix out laparoscopically. And throughout that night, he started deteriorating. His kidneys had shut down, and they sent us actually to Children's Hospital in Omaha. We got down there, and he was very critical. By Monday morning, they were telling us that we had to get out of there. He needed specialized dialysis. Iowa City was recommended to us, and so they flew him over on Monday morning.
We are one of the only places in the area that can offer a particular kind of dialysis called CRRT to support very sick patients with renal failure who are also critically ill. We quickly got him on this particular kind of dialysis that he required for about 3 weeks, I think, until he recovered and his kidney function began to recover.
They had to do several clean-outs of the abdomen, cleaning out of the muscle tissue that had died in his legs. For a while it was even questionable whether we would save the legs at all. There was talk about possible having to amputate both legs.
They said from a medical standpoint he had a less than 5% chance of making it.
It was a journey. We ended up, I think, at 14 surgeries before it was all said and done.
People talk, oh yeah, you know, they're doctors and they think they know everything like that. We never experienced that. We did not.
We commented many times, where did they find that many compassionate and caring people? Because it's just, nope. They all were. And I tell you what, they worked so great as a team that everybody knew pretty much what was going on.
The real purpose of the Middle Managers Institute is to arm them to be more effective in their roles. Most coming into the middle managers have not been managers. They've never managed people before, so we help them to understand how to be a more effective manager. The Middle Managers is a jam-packed 2 days of sessions.
The purpose of the TMI is really to give people an opportunity to focus on their craft. I don't know of anyone who hasn't walked away from a TMI energized about what they do, fueled with all kinds of new ideas and a passion for what their role is. We made the senior managers and the middle managers TMIs free because we felt it's so important that those people in particular get to break away from the day-to-day and have an opportunity to focus on the brand and to focus on the future and the way that things are changing so quickly that we didn't even want that fee to be a roadblock.
Probably my biggest takeaway from the conference was branding. We're very new and early into the stages of branding and selecting our brand, but the support for branding I think was something that I bring back into the newsroom right away. And Julie Siebold's session on managing people and conflict resolution was very, very good, and I've already started using some of that in the day-to-day here at CBS 42.
The only thing that surprised me is how many other people are in the same situation as me, where you worked as co-workers and then you were promoted and now you're their manager. So I learned a lot on that topic and how to approach that situation. The Maggot Institute was a huge help for me, so I would recommend it to anyone.
I always say it's well worth the investment, because these are tomorrow's news directors. These are tomorrow's leaders of your station. And in most cases, they've never had training like this. They need that kind of training. We arm them with some real tools, some ideas, so that they're better prepared when they go back and can meet those daily demands of their position, and again, operate effectively and positively for their station.
With the presidential campaign heating up over the past couple of weeks, President Obama has been quiet on the issue of gun rights. Mitt Romney, on the other hand, has made his position quite clear. Last Friday, he delivered a speech at the annual meeting of the National Rifle Association in St. Louis, discussing his pro-gun rights stance.
If we're going to safeguard our Second Amendment, it's time to elect a president who will defend the rights President Obama ignores or minimizes.
This speech from Romney will likely win him votes from Iowa gun enthusiasts who are unhappy with current gun laws. Currently in Iowa, if you buy a gun license and take the proper courses, you can own pretty much whichever gun you want. And if you meet the proper requirements, you can also get a permit to carry a concealed handgun. Now, a lot of people think this might be lenient enough, but Iowa Republicans want more.